Welcome to Our Beautiful Chaos, a podcast about all things life, love, and just the stuff that make this life chaotic. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for episode 3 of my new podcast, Welcome to Our Beautiful Chaos. So I'm your host, Leanne Taylor. I hope you're all staying safe and well in this pandemic quarantine world. Basically, our new normal lives, right? If you're new to the podcast, I want to say welcome, and I'm so happy you decided to join me on this journey of whatever this is going to be. Please take a few minutes and catch up on the previous episodes. As time goes on, I won't be able to list episodes and explain what you might have missed out on, but since I'm just starting out, I'm going to try to give you a quick synopsis of the last 2 episodes. Episode 1 is titled A Little Bit About Me. Basically, y'all, that title speaks for itself. You can hear a little bit about my story and why I chose to go on this podcast journey. It's really just an introduction episode. It's not a long episode, but I, didn't want to take a lot of time. I just wanted to introduce myself and give some background information about what I'm doing and why I decided to do this podcast thing. Episode 2 was titled, What Would You Do If You Were Not Afraid? In this episode, I discussed what I would do if I was not afraid. I talked about my fear of failing. I also talked about getting out of that wonderful comfort zone that we're all in and that place we love to be and stay in. So if this is your first time listening to my podcast, then take a few minutes and go check out those previous episodes. I really hope that you like them and you'll continue to listen to this podcast every week. Now, if you've listened to episode 1 and 2, well, I want to say thank you for coming back for episode 3. That's really exciting that you came back to listen again for the 3rd time. I really do appreciate it. And I'm kind of actually still in shock that I have people still coming back and listening, as well as I have new listeners joining. It's kind of crazy to me. I'm going to try not to disappoint you in the weeks ahead. My plan still is to be here every week, uploading a chat or interview or just speaking out about random thoughts or ideas. But I do want to share something with you right now. If you have any thoughts or ideas on topics that you would like to hear about in this podcast, please send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what you thought, your ideas. What did you think about what I talked about? But, send me a message. But in this week's episode, I'm going to talk about armor. The title of this week's episode is Build Your Armor. You may be wondering what this title is referring to. Build your armor? What does that even mean? Well, it could be many things. You could be building your physical armor, mental armor, and emotional armor. Or you can be building the armor that surrounds you. But I'll get to that in a minute. First, I want to start by defining what armor actually means. According to Google in the dictionary, armor has several definitions. It can be a covering that is worn by soldiers to protect their body in battle. It can be a tough metal layer that covers a military vehicle or a ship that will defend it from attack. It can also be a protective layer or shell that some animals and plants use to protect them. There are also great synonyms for armor as well. Cover, defense, guard, protection, shield, wall, and covering, but they all basically mean the same thing. When I think of building your armor, I think that it is something that I can do for myself. I can build my armor around me, or I can surround myself with people who can protect me when I need it. When I say I can build my armor around myself, well, I can do that physically, mentally, and emotionally. The first thing that came to my mind when I said actually building body armor, I thought maybe I should build some armor for myself so this virus could not even get to me. I feel like we have to suit up to go anywhere these days. It's like that's our body armor we wear now. I think we'll continue to wear it for a while. The mask, the gloves, and all the PPE that some people have to wear just to go to work and complete their normal day activities at their jobs now. It's become a different world for sure. But these things have become their armor that they have to wear to protect them in this battle that they face every day. So, for example, like doctors, nurses, individuals who work with our kids at school, pretty much anyone who works with the public has to wear some sort of armor just to do their job. They're fighting something different out there. We have to wear it to go shopping and buy groceries and do our normal activities after work. But I'm sure going to work all suited up can't be easy, right? But normally, we would walk around with actual armor on to protect ourselves? No, we would not. But now we have to protect ourselves from some virus or other people. That's not our normal lives, but apparently it is now. But, we can also work on building our mental armor. We can build ourselves up mentally and make ourselves stronger mentally. You may think that you're stronger than most people, so you don't need to think about it. But having a good mental armor and being mentally strong is the same as being physically strong. It's not something that just comes easy. Well, not to most people anyway. You kind of have to work at it. So, I ask a question. Do you go to the gym? Do you spend time at that gym building physical strength? Or maybe you walk or run around the neighborhood like me. Do you watch what you eat and you take pride in your healthy body? Some days when you go to the gym, are you doing all the right things? Do you make great progress? Other days, are they harder? You may decide that those days, you want to increase your nutrition, or you want to push through that pain at the gym, or you want to ease back on your workouts. Well, just as the muscles and your joints are telling you, hey, stop, and you're dealing with those physical challenges at the gym, your mind's doing the same thing. But would you know what to do with your brain if it was telling you the same thing? Would you even notice a decline in your mental state or your mental resilience? I don't know that I would. I would know if I went to the gym and I was not doing so well on my workouts. I would notice that. I don't know that I would notice that my brain wasn't functioning sometimes, or that it wasn't as strong as it should be, or that my mental resilience wasn't as strong, because I'm just not that way. So I was looking on the internet to kind of help me with this podcast a little, and I noticed that when it was talking about resilience, there's some common indicators in our lives that you can tell that your resiliency needs some addressing. So, and people talk about resiliency a lot in their workplaces. It's usually one of those topics that they bring up once a month or once every other month or something in one of your classes that you have. Do you socially withdraw? Do you have a reduced interest in activities that you used to enjoy? Is there a lack of trust in people you should be able to trust? Are you frustrated or angry? Are you having headaches? Is your sleep being disrupted? Are you having nightmares, weight loss or gain? Having a sense of failure or a lack of purpose? Are you edgy or jumpy? So what the internet was telling me when I was reading this and researching this a little, you need to deal with these issues as soon as you notice them. So let's say you notice, hey, I'm used to going to so-and-so's house for, the Georgia game on Saturdays. Well, I have a reduced interest in that activity. I don't want to go anymore. I don't care. I'm frustrated and angry about this thing at work or that thing, or I'm not sleeping, or very edgy about certain things. Maybe you're not as resilient as you once were. Maybe your mental armor is a little bit broken, or maybe it's just dented up a little bit. Even if you feel like these are mild things, you don't need to ignore them, because trust me, they're not going to go away. They're just going to get worse. The first thing to do is accept them and accept that you are human, and that whatever events are taking place in your life, it's just a life-changing event. It could be anything, work-related, home-related, whatever it may be, and that your brain just must take time to process it. So making sure that you build that mental armor will help you become more mentally resilient, and that'll give you the ability to endure those life events and bounce back from those, and pretty quickly too. I can speak from experience about bouncing back from life events. It's not easy, especially mentally. It takes time. It's not something that just happens overnight. And so if you're kind of proactive about it and about building your mental armor and you being ready for it and you being resilient, it's going to help you maintain clear thinking through these stressful situations that you may encounter. And you're more likely to bounce back a little bit more quickly. I'm not saying that when those life events happen to you that you're going to be able to work through them faster and be right back to where you were before it happened. I'm not saying that's the case at all. I'm just saying that you're going to have maybe a clearer head, and you're going to see as those life events happen, you won't be so deep into those issues of sleep, disruption, of headaches, of I don't want to go to that Georgia game this weekend because I'm going to sit at home and be depressed because I had a life-changing event that maybe just is changed for right now. Because I'm resilient and I'm going to bounce back. I'm just going through a stressful situation at the time. I know it can be hard facing life events, especially when we're not prepared for them. Either because you're afraid, or you don't know how to deal with it, or mainly just because you don't want to deal with it. In these situations, building your armor is a very important tool that'll help you get through whatever it is. So emotional armor is also something that can protect you. You can put up an emotional armor. Like I said, it can protect you, and it can be good and bad. Emotional armor does have its values. It can make you feel safe. It can make you feel like you're ready to take on the world, but you're behind an armor and you hide your emotions behind it, so no one knows exactly how you feel, and usually they don't know who you really are. It's like you can take on the world behind a shell and you feel protected by it, and nobody can see you back there. Nobody can see what feelings you may or may not have. You're just walking around kind of like a turtle in a shell, I guess, and nobody sees what's really inside there. You feel safe behind that shield, and you really feel safe. You can embrace the good and the bad and all the in-betweens as you navigate through life. You can face the challenges and be inspired to turn them into opportunities, but you're still behind a shield. And it's an illusion because you're hiding your spirit and you're disguising yourself behind that shield. And you're usually afraid of showing who you really are. And you put on that big armor, kind of under that turtle shell, because you're protecting yourself, usually to avoid some kind of suffering or to avoid people getting to know who you are. When you put up an emotional armor, you can keep yourself from living real experiences. It's as if you are putting up a huge barrier in front of you that could prevent others from knowing who you really are. It's also used as a protection, and it's not really a protection. It's interfering with your ability to open up to others. Because I think the thicker the armor, the farther you get from others, and even yourself. The armor becomes a burden because it prevents you from connecting with other people. And I read this study also recently that says it takes about 15 seconds for people to make an emotional decision about you. So when you walk into a room, people take your body language, your clothing, your hair, the way you talk to them, and make a decision if they like you, trust you, maybe even they want to work with you or be around you or what have you. And if they get these feelings as soon as you walk into the room to not like you or trust you, they're going to trust their feelings. And they're going to back them up with what they think are logical reasons. But they usually come up with these logical reasons later. They don't have them as soon as you walk in the room. And also, according to this study, there's a name for this. It's called the horns or halo effect. Imagine that. In that first 15 seconds of meeting that person, you may give an impression that you're not guarded, grumpy, or that you just have no emotion at all. When in fact, you're a pleasant and warm person underneath all that stuff. Even if you seem like a trustworthy person that has great reputable sources to back that up or character references that are perfect, but you come into a room and you're guarded and you're closed off, the people in the room or even like the audience that you're talking to, they're going to find a reason to back up that initial impression of you. And it's going to be a negative impression if you came in that way to the room, but they're going to have logical reasons to back that up. They're going to give you horns when what you really have is a halo. It's kind of like me. Some people might not know how to take me when I walk into a room. I'm sure I have walked into a room before and I have come off as having horns and halos at different times. But I wouldn't want anyone to judge me until they actually got to know me. And it's not because I walked into a room. Maybe I'd had a bad day before I walked into that room. Or maybe I'd had a bad morning before I walked into work. Or whatever the case may be. But you judged me in that first 15 seconds of meeting me. And I'm just as guilty as the next person in that room of doing the same thing about someone. Like I said, this is a great example of your emotional armor getting in the way. So build your armor, but don't let it get in the way of you being a better you. Your emotional armor can make you not be the best you. And I think that's kind of what we all want to do, is be the best versions of ourselves. In our new normal life, we need to connect with people any way we can. So my advice to you is to lower your emotional armor so others can get to know you and we can fully connect with everyone. There's also one more way that I think we can build our armor. Build your armor by surrounding yourself with a tribe of people that share common interests and values. They also show true appreciation and care for each other. You can build a tribe. Your tribe can surround you and protect you from anything that comes your way if you let them. They will understand you and encourage you and to go after any goals and support you in the good and the bad times. You know, they can provide protection when life events hit you like a ton of bricks and you don't even know exactly what you're going to do. And they can celebrate the good times. You can have birthday parties, anniversary parties, and even the annual Christmas parties, or just because it's a Saturday party. They are your go-to people when everything starts to go somewhere. And usually they protect you from the storms. So if you surround yourself with people and things that make you a better person, they're going to challenge you to do great things. And sometimes, well, most of the time in my case, these people can call you out when you do something that does not make any sense and something that does not seem good for you. Those are the perfect kind of people. I've been blessed with people in my life that will call me out when I'm doing something that does not make any sense. Those are the type of people I need in my life. They don't sugarcoat things. They tell it like it is. And they will be the first ones to surround me when things get difficult. And they will be my armor to protect me from all the things. This is a process. It may take time, but I can guarantee you building your armor physical, mental, emotional, and just building a tribe that can be your armor will be so beneficial to the overall health of your life. So go out and build your armor, people. I'm going to end it here this week, but I want to make sure you remember to think about life and how short it really is, and we need to live life every day to its fullest. Y'all join me next week for my new series. I'm so excited about it. The title is You Do You. It's going to be a series of episodes. I think it's going to be about 3 episodes in the series. But to learn more about me and this podcast, please visit my website, welcometoourbeautifulchaos.org. Also, if there's a specific topic or idea you would like to talk to me about, please send me an email at ourbeautifulchaos00@gmail.com. Also, make sure you give me a like and a follow on Facebook and Instagram. I think next week we are going to do a giveaway. I'm so excited. So stay tuned for next week's podcast. I will give you all the details. And again, thank you for listening to my new podcast. Welcome to Our Beautiful Chaos. I hope you all have a great week. Peace. Welcome to Our Beautiful Chaos, a podcast about all things life, love, and just the stuff that make this life chaotic.